say twice a month, go for 3 times a month. Weekly is, I think, doable if you discipline yourself to spend the time to work on it. And I know a great deal of the probability is what do I blog about, and we can get into that in a little bit more detail.
Absolutely. Well, let's go down to some nuts and bolts first. And what do you think about blogging platforms? What for an artist who doesn't have a blog at all, where would you start in terms of platform? I use a WordPress blog site. What are your thoughts on platforms?
My Art Print Issues is on Typepad, typepad.com. It's a more than adequate professional solution for blogging. I like it better than Blogger or Blogspot personally because I think the templates offer a little bit more. I got started on it in 2007 and I didn't really know what I was doing. I knew I wanted to do a blog. I've been doing an online PDF download newsletter called Art Print Issues for a couple of years, and I could see that blogging was the future and wanted to get involved. And at the time, WordPress was not then what it is now. In retrospect, if I had the chance, I would have started in WordPress, and one of my goals for 2012 is to actually move Art Print Issues off of Typepad onto WordPress, but it's not a pressing issue. I'm doing well with it the way it is. So I like WordPress number one. It is more technically challenging than something like Blogger, Blogspot, or Typepad. Tumblr, Tumblr.com, has quickly become a huge blogging platform for all kinds of things. So I don't know much about it. It's another one of those free services. So I would definitely look at Tumblr. Frankly, at the end of the day, the platform is secondary to the content.
Yeah, I've spent a good amount of time on artist blogs, and it's pretty rare that I'll even pay attention to what the platform was. Like you say, it's more about what's on the blog site than the platform per se.
If you have the choice and you're technically inclined, WordPress is the way to go. It gives you the most flexibility of any other situation that you come into. But if you're already down the path on Blogspot or Blogger or Typepad or Tumblr, that I would worry more about the content than the platform.
Excellent. We already talked about a little bit about the frequency of blogging. I'm just going to say that for our blog, it kind of seemed like it was important for us initially to start to get the readership to have a good body of articles there. And so for a while we were blogging daily to start building those up, and now we try to blog at least 3 or 4 times a week, and are ramping that up as well. But I think I will agree with you that it is just a matter of setting aside some time and saying, I'm going to be dedicated that during this time, an hour a week or whatever it is, I'm going to be dedicated to making a blog post. And I think for an artist that would be the same kind of commitment that would be required, is to find a dedicated time. And then obviously if you can have some shortcuts so you know what you're going to be blogging about, I think that can be one of the biggest challenges in terms of creating consistency.
Here's a tip that I use for posts. I have probably 30 to 50, I'm not even sure, posts that are drafts. A lot of them just have the subject line. An idea for a blog will come to me. I want to get it down somewhere to remember it, so why not just, I go in and create a compose and put in the subject line, or maybe a few bullet points about something that I want to talk about. I have one I just wrote last night. I just made the title, "No One Will Do It For You." It just occurred to me, isn't that's so true. Nobody's going to do the painting for you. You can't, essentially nobody's going to carry your water for you. It's in life, in art, and in art marketing. And so that's going to germinate with me for a while. I've had some of these things that it's been a year or 18 months before I actually got around to writing the post. But the thought was been in the back of my mind. And sometimes as I get, other thoughts that relate to it, I'll go back to that draft, throw in a few more points, and before I know it, there's a bunch of stuff in there when I get around to, hey, now's the day I'm going to write about that. It's a lot of the content is already there for me. So that's an easy way to keep track of random ideas that you might get for blog topics.
Yeah.
And I'll throw in a pitch here for Art Print Issues. If you go to Art Print Issues, and you'll find under popular topics, it's a column on the sidebar. One of the most popular, highly read blog posts that I've ever written is 52 blog posts, top 52 topics for artists, something to that effect. I don't have it up right in front of me at the moment, but I sat down and wrote what I thought were 52 pretty good ideas for that artists could use to post about it, and none of them were, I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch.
Right.
Some of them that come to mind were, who inspired me to be an artist? I'm talking about an art teacher. Maybe it's that moment in your life when you wanted to become an artist, or what's going on in your art community. Who are some other artists, contemporary artists, or friends of yours that you like? So it doesn't have to be all about you and here's my latest piece of work. It can be about your whole experience of being an artist, or just even your whole experience of being a human being. If you went and saw the movie The Artist and you were moved by something in that, you should write about it. Or I wrote a post once about talking about American Idol and art, and I know a lot of people want to, go, give me a break, but there are analogies between what happens in the art business with something making a break and getting successful, and the things that those kids on American Idol go through. It was a very popular post. It surprised me. I thought it would get a lot of cheers, but in fact it got a lot of people who were writing to say, I agree with that. It was interesting.
And I find, and in the gallery, where we have the opportunity on a day-to-day basis to be interacting with customers and talking to them about the artwork, that collectors and potential buyers are really fascinated to understand the inspiration behind a piece of artwork. They want to know the story about how it was created, why the artist was drawn to that subject matter. And a blog is the perfect medium for sharing that kind of information, that kind of narrative, that kind of story. And so I think that it makes a world of sense for an artist as they're creating new pieces to share those new pieces on the blog, and to write a short post about the inspiration and the story of creating that. And I think that just the exercise of writing that story out and sharing it on the blog, even if your collectors don't necessarily end up seeing it there, well, the next time you have a show or you're at an art event, you've already thought about the story and worked through some of the narrative, and you're going to be better at sharing that story. So in some ways, I think that an artist's blog can be a great tool for just fleshing out some of your thoughts about your work. A lot of times, I think when a collector's looking at an artist's website and maybe links onto the blog, they're probably, in reality, they're not likely to subscribe to your blog and, spend, hours every week following your blog. They're probably going to go through and spend, maybe one or two visits looking at your artwork. And so being able to go back and look at your stories about your artwork, I think is going to be very valuable from a collector's perspective as they're looking at that blog. It's kind of an additional tool to what you have maybe on your website.
That's a good point. I think educating people in that way, in a narrative way about